Associate Director in Residence Life for Academic Initiatives. I work in the Department of Housing and Residence Life. Our offices are located in Newhall West, and the Residence Life suite will actually be moving over to Suite 144 with the Housing Services staff. And the aspiration that I work with is self-understanding and integrity. The aspiration for self-understanding and integrity is that students come to Virginia Tech with a certain set of values in place, and I think we would like to believe, and by and large for the most part, that it's an affirming set of values, that that community is important to them, that furthering their education is important. But the other piece of this is the degree to which their behaviors align with those values. And so for a student that says their education is important to them, but then they're putting their education in jeopardy by a violation of student code of conduct or not attending class, that's something where we're a great opportunity for us to engage with students of the dissonance between their behavior and their values. Originally, when we first started talking about self-understanding and integrity, we really honed in on a student's current state, and maybe more so that it was individually focused or focused on themselves. And so, maybe that's what they believed coming in here, and maybe how they might align their future decisions with their values or with what they believe. And so, for example, we looked at some of the resources that are available in career services, because that really does talk about students starting to understand themselves with what they might want to pursue as a vocation. And how it shifted is this idea of the aspirations building off of each other, that you never necessarily become proficient in one, but that in order for you to better understand yourself, that you first have to be curious about that and start asking the questions of, well, why do I believe this? Where did that value come from? Does that come from my faith tradition, or does that come from my family? And so it's this idea of growth, and that in order for students to become more civil or have civil relationships, well, they need to understand themselves first and understand how they're similar and how they're different from others. So I think I may have mentioned in a previous answer that often when we as administrators or educators often engage students around this area, currently it's when their behavior is in conflict with values to which they say they affirm. So it's not uncommon at all to have students to say, being at Virginia Tech is so important to me that, there's a generation, I'm the third or fourth generation of Hokies in my family, but then they're coming back on a Thursday night downtown, walking with a traffic cone on their head, and being disruptive to the community. And it's this juxtaposition of what they say they believe versus what their actions demonstrate, and bringing those into alignment. And so right now, I think we do a really great job challenging students in that area of when their behavior conflicts with what they believe or to which they say they believe. I think what we're trying to explore now is how can we engage students on the front end of getting them to start questioning and thinking about what do they believe. Who are they as a human being? Who are they as a part of this community? What do they bring to the community? And so it's really heady stuff. It's a lot of thinking in regards to how we can engage students with that process and do it holistically versus by different area. I think it's important, for one, within the Division of Student Affairs, to know that our partners in academic affairs are really excited about these, because I think what they see is that the aspirations that we have for our students are very similar to the aspirations that they have for students at the university, and so there's a great opportunity for us to partner and work with them. I think in particular for our aspiration that it's really important for the community to know that it's really important for a student to explore this area of better understanding themselves, and how they're similar, or maybe how they're different, and then their own unique strengths, their own unique contribution in a school of undergraduates of 25,000, you know, in a population just under 30,000, it's easy for a student to start to feel lost, or that they maybe they don't matter to the overall community. And I think this aspiration in particular helps them to see that they do matter, that what they contribute to the community matters. And so any opportunity that we can to help students discover that is time well spent. I think it's definitely a challenge of us knowing or having a marker of how we know students are growing in this area, and really in all the aspirations, because some of them are more philosophical. So it's not a matter of, you know, at the university we measure progress by credit hour completed or courses completed, where this we're talking about it's lifelong growth. And so some of the things that as a committee that we're looking at is how might we break down the idea of self-understanding integrity into smaller chunks, and are there actually measurable components of that? So for students to think about times where their actions have not been in alignment with their behaviors, and what predicated that. Was it that they just didn't really think of that? Were they finding themselves in situations where they weren't making intentional decisions but just going along with the crowd? Or was it that the value of being accepted was more important than the value of following the law? And so we're going to work with Martha Glass as far as looking at the outcome overall, and might we break that down smaller? And then looking at overall, are there commonalities within the division that we believe are part of a student's journey in this area? I think that for one, that we need good people around the table, and so the opportunity to have new people join the different committees is in a matter of contributing to the base of knowledge that's already been generated. But also that the first piece is that these aspirations really build upon and complement the other. And so starting with the idea of becoming curious, becoming aware, starting to ask those questions of yourself and others, and self-understanding and integrity of that you having a better understanding of yourself as an individual and what you contribute, how you're different and how you're the same, helps you then to be part of a civil community, that your contributions come from a place where you understand why you're different, but you recognize that other individual and their difference from you. And so these aspirations build on each other. I think the other is that we're all responsible for these, and so whether it's someone in student conduct, in housing residence life, in student activities, or counseling and wellness services, that we all have an equal role in this. It's just that our roles may be different.